Hello, hello.
Okay. So we can start, Ruben. Okay. So I hope you can hear me. Thank you again for being here also this afternoon after lunch. As you know from the program that we said this morning, this afternoon would be more free, no front lessons, but we have the round table and then the extra activities. So this is a section for the round table. As you can see, the idea was to have some representatives of the different fields or competencies or disciplines that we have been through in these 2-3 days to have here in front of you. Some of them you already know them or will be speaker tomorrow. 2 of them are new speakers. Also we have a speaker online. So I'm going to present our guests and then we start the discussion. We have some questions and we go through. It would be nice also to have your feedback in the discussion, because I know that you guys are being very involved in discussion these days. So also this could be a good moment to go on in discussion. So I go directly to present our guests. We have Dr. Simone Belluco, that you already know, who is the veterinary officer at the Istituto Profilattico Sperimentale. He was our speaker 1 hour ago. Then we have Dr. Valerio Beni. He's a senior scientist and project manager at RISE, so Research Institutes of Sweden, and he's going to have a speech tomorrow, I guess. Tomorrow you have to have. And he's pretty expert in exploitation of hybrid printed electronics and development of sustainable sensing platform for different applications, mainly medtech, not agri-food, so logistic and sensing. We have Professor Enrico Dal Canale from the University of Parma. He's an expert in the field of materials and director Casnati Interdepartmental Measurement Center, sorry. We have Dr. Michela Monici, quality director of Parmalat, leading company in the food sector that you may know. And then online instead, we have Dr. Ruben de Vries, Manager, Innovation and Business Development at Culip, which is a leading company in the analysis of milk and dairy products in the fields of food safety and quality and nutritional value. So I thank very much Ruben for being present. Also, Culip is it's a long-term collaboration we have in the different projects that we've been through these years. So I will stand tall in order to, because otherwise you don't see me. So, but it's not just I want to feel more comfortable as possible. You have the microphone in front. Then there is this one we can pass through. The idea of the discussion today, as I said before, was to try to make very easy and relaxed conversation about the possibility to make different key players talk with one another, especially belonging to different fields. As you can see, we have the regulation represented mainly by Simone. Then we have instead the end users, which is represented really well by Michela. And then we have 2 different, the academic within 2 different versions, the more research orientation than the academic part, even though Professor Dal Canale has a very, very large experience in technology transfer. And so the idea was to ask to ourselves and to you especially, if you start working in this field, because you have a profile that you are mainly PhD students or postdocs, which is the possibility for you to make what you are studying really work. And if the sensing area is something that is growing and interesting. It can make sense for you going on in this direction. So I will start directly from the companies. So from Michela and then also Ruben online. So starting from the end, the idea was which are the challenges according to your specific point of view and expectation for the having in your hands as an user new sensing device and tools, especially for your market share, for your what we are doing. Is still something needed, or we are happy with what we have?
We are never happy of what we have, but day by day we are looking for something that can help us in every step of our process. So I work in a big dairy company, and our mission is quality, compliance, food safety, day by day, from farm to fork. So in all the steps of the value chain, and so we are looking for something of very day by day of something that can help us and support us to have safety, compliance with standard for our consumers, for our clients, and so all the support that also with this device we can have is a big help for us. In particular, what we would like something that is very in terms of robustness, so is very sensitive, something that is repeatable and reproducible, and with low cost, and something that is reusable, because we would like to have only disposable support, and we would like to have something that in real time, so in very short time, give us answer along the chain. So from acceptance of raw material, of milk for sure, but also other ingredients, and during the process, and also in our finished product, in the time in which the product is inside the factory. So low cost, high sensitive.
Seems to be a sort of long wish list.
Sort of miracle.
I mean, just to make people understand exactly what happens in your plants. Typically, what you do when you receive milk, and then what you do. So you are able to follow up the entire process in terms of detection and monitoring, or you just at the beginning and then you see at the end?
Every step is followed and controlled. So raw material, and not only milk but also other ingredients, because in our factory we work not only milk but also cheese, fruit juice, so we have also fruit to manage, and the aspect of acceptance are not only food safety but also compliance to the standard. So in terms of content of ingredients, in terms of vitamins or added ingredients. And so for sure we are very interested in food safety, in pesticides, microorganisms, and so about microbiological standard, but not only, and chemical, heavy metals, pesticides, aflatoxins, and
But you have a sort of portfolio of different tools that you use when you
yes,
have.
and some of them are processed in real time. Some others are only on terms of monitoring because are very with high cost analysis, time consuming, and also we have to have the support also of external lab, not only internal. I think that this kind of offers is more on the process, so in the farm or inside our factory, in our lab inside the factory. So simple, quick, and something that give you an answer in a few minutes or in few hours. The problem is also not only the detection, but also the preparation of the sample. So we have also to work in order to have simple preparation, pre-concentration, and something of this.
So also that part should be, I mean, a real component of the sensor itself is something that you can do after, because if it is very easy to be used, but then it takes 2 hours and expert personnel to make the sampling that you don't have.
Or eluent or something
exactly,
that is
that
not safe, or we don't have in the factory lab or on the floor,
sure.
Close to the filling machine. We need something that is very safe for humans, but also for the process. And
sure. And Ruben, from your point of view, even though you are an end user, intend that you make measurements, so it's not that you have a company producing food, but you are dealing with using new tools or providing measurements for external clients. Oh, sorry, I think we have some problem here. Can you talk? Because I don't, we don't, I think it's better for me to use my mic to make you speak. Let's try to do this. Okay. Positive. It's not so easy. Okay, let's try to do this. Can you talk? Okay, I make this magic trick. Can you talk?
Yes. Am I clearly understandable now?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. It's great that we're talking about technological developments, and still we are facing challenges in practice.
That's my fault. I don't think it's an issue of technology.
No, this is no problem. What I wanted to say is I very much recognize the wish list of the previous speaker. We want technologies to be robust, to be affordable, so towards a low price. We can add a few more expectations to that. Maybe to start my answer, it's good to address what we do at h-ALO. We do all the raw milk analysis for milk payment for the whole Netherlands. We are a relatively small country, so we can have centralized it all in one laboratory. And we also do the national food safety monitoring for residues and contaminants. We do that for the Dutch dairy sector, and that's a machine which is running smoothly. And changing that, then you need to come up with a good alternative. And I think that's one of the challenges when it comes to new technologies. So I'm very happy actually that you started the discussion at the end, because I think already when it comes to research and the start of new technology development, it's important to already think of the end use and also to think of what is there already. For some components, it's very hard to come up with a better alternative than already exists, whereas for others it may still be a valuable addition to current processes. And then what are the important elements there? We heard robustness. Milk can differ in composition. So from milk from different compositions, a test should be applicable. The price is, of course, very important. For instance, when it comes to antibiotics testing, we do that for a really low, we can do it now for a really low cost price, below €1 per milk sample. So it's very hard to come up with a good alternative for that. I don't want to discourage development of new technology. It's super important, but it's good to realize what is there already. Something else that's important is labor intensity. I think all over Europe are facing that it's hard to have sufficient workers in the lab. So if new technologies can support us with a higher throughput per employee, that would also be something beneficial for us as an end user. And when it comes to residues and contaminants, the broadness of a spectrum that can be monitored, that can be measured, is also something important. So instead of focusing on one component, can we screen for a broader range of components? That could also be a helpful thing compared with existing technologies. If you the market is quite it's difficult. That's why I mentioned the machine that we now have running. Basically, if we want to change something in that, it really should be a better alternative than what is in place already.
So just to comment, it seems that you say, okay, in terms of cost, that is an issue because normally the tools that are used that I think are lateral flow devices, typically for antibiotics, are very inexpensive. And even though they are not quantitative, at least the cost is the parameter over there. And then you can send the samples to another lab for making measurements. So you cannot be competitive with less than €1 per test. But if you are instead introducing high throughput or multiplexing, is a way for reducing the cost because you can make more measurements, more analyze at the same time. So this can be, I mean, from your point of view, something, because I know also in Netherlands there are a lot of companies that now are trying to, I think about Delvo instrument or people that are trying to go in that direction. So instead, if we instead move from this question to the other, okay, we started from the end, as we said. Let's give a look instead from the technology providers. So is feasible that with this kind of matter of fact we have this kind of user so very with their hand, where mind is very clear about what they need, that new technologies or especially I'm talking about, since it's my background or the background of the school, nanophotonics, nanoelectronics is still in the line for sustainable, flexible electronics, could contribute to satisfy these needs, or is more that we are playing around and say that we are doing something?
Well, I think we need to really differentiate between photonics and what I'm doing. I'm doing mainly electrical measurements, so electrochemical measurement that cost-wise it can be actually reduced significantly. I find myself in the middle between end user and ideas developer, and I usually face two issues, and the issue is that I have an interest in technology, but I have a price tag. My price tag is what will make a scientist that's try to talk to you, or a spin-off company or a small company, successful or not successful. And I follow a bit of what a previous speaker was saying. We had a few years ago a company developing an electrochemical sensor for inline detection of antibiotics. So detecting antibiotic in milk directly at the farm. So that's before collecting the milk, mix the milk and bring it to the. Okay. So to have a fair price. Didn't work out very well because cost-wise was not there. Simple like that. And I can give you other example of colleagues that have been trying to enter in this path.
No.
bacterial detection, and so on and so forth.
So according to you, you have to be very, either you give up or you know exactly which is the need, and so you really design the...
Yes, I think you need to have a very clear the need. I think you have to have very clear the niche market where your sensor is going. I don't believe in fast sensor replacing laboratories sensors for regulatory issues, but also for performance issues, and I believe in complementing them. I have been looking quite a few times in medtech, so for medical applications, and there is a problem not only in terms of price, but there is also an expectation problem. And the expectation problem comes also who is sponsoring you. In medical device, and you develop, I don't know, a point-of-care device, the golden standard of the reference is the glucose sensors.
Yeah.
So who is putting money on the table wants that your revenue goes in that direction without understanding it. Okay, so that's where the problem is. That's where the problem is.
Sure.
You try to you sponsor someone looking for multi-million euros market. That's probably not there. Yeah. For several reasons.
Yeah. Clear.
I think complementing it's where we need to look at.
More realistic.
Exactly.
Professor Dacanal.
Well, I think that I can agree on most of what my previous speaker has said, but I have to add something to that. The point, okay, I'm speaking about prospective workers which have a PhD or a postdoc in the field. This is a niche market. There is not a winner takes it all. It's not ion batteries or solar cells. So there is room for many different options, which one will fit a different field, which is good from one side, may be a problem from another side. Say that, since the market can be small but interesting, I will suggest you to focus on the industrial level, and I will tell you why. The industrial level now is ready to accept any sensor technology which will fit some requirements, which is basically what we call a ruggedness, the ability to respond exactly what you want and also not to respond to the unexpected, to be able to not give problems to the end user, let's say, in that way. Cost effective, and also reducing time consuming from the operators. So I can make many examples. One, we can date close to that. For sure, Parmalat is using a aseptic bottling machine plant for bottling, right? So this stuff is make aseptic with hydrogen peroxide peracetic acid. So there is a need of a sensor telling there is not any more that inside. Can be chemical, can be physical. There are several options. This is one. So the industry, car industry, also is continuously pushing for having more sensing. When we go to medical, that's the point. I had another issue. The issue is the medical field is extremely conservative. I can make an example of that. Breath analysis. Breath analysis is a fantastic solution because it's cheap, easy to make, and not invasive. So why is not breath analysis around as a screening for people? Because it works, but it doesn't tell exactly which is the disease. So the medical doctors then say, is it inflammation, is it cancer, what it is, and they are not willing to go ahead and do this. So that's a major issue. So in the medical field, I must say that in Europe, not in Italy, in Europe, it's going to be quite difficult to enter with something really new and effective. The different thing is US, I must say the different thing is Texas, where there is the famous medical center in Houston. They have 110,000 employees, 10 million patients every year. The legislation in Texas is very flat, and so they are translational medicine, and they test almost everything. I visited them. They can do it. So if the innovation comes, probably will come from there, in the medical field. In the environmental field, which is extremely interesting, the problem is who is going to buy your stuff. Again, my experience is at the present industry. Case point. Detection of benzene in air, just simple. There are machines, we have also made one, but what counts is who is going to buy them. h-ALO do not, because they are not interested in exactly knowing that. Because if they know exactly and something goes wrong, they have to close. Okay? Where is the need of benzene? The need of benzene is only in one place, gas stations. If you go here in Bologna, the benzene sensor is at the Giardini Margherita, in the middle. So where there is no need. Why is not at the gas station and the legislation is not done? Because who of us is really willing to give up our personal mobility? Because in 100 liters of gasoline, there is 1 liter of benzene. That's the issue. So this is a very uneven field. That's what I'm saying. So there are places, particularly industry, which are now ready to plug in with good solution. The problem is, as has been said, you now have to start from the problem. So don't think that what you have studied in the lab is the solution. It might be, but you have also to compare it with the solution of others. And then find the most practical one for the problem. Okay? That's at the present my...
Clear. So, I mean, I'm talking to all, because then you said, it's interesting because you said there are some bottlenecks. Some bottlenecks are from regulation issue, from cultural and habits, or, I mean, lobby, because they don't want to change. But is there sometimes, especially in Italy, we always say there's a question of fundings. We don't funding, is that because we are not pushing on innovation, so the problem is there? But it seems that is not so exactly that is the point.
Quickly, in the medical field, there is a desperate need of a system able to make monitoring of diseases. There is a famous diagram, which is the cost of a cancer person at the various stages versus also his well-being. Before you get the disease, you know, the better for both the money and for the person. Problem is, you have to be univocal.
Yeah, sure.
And the doctors are, I understand them, conservative. So, but there is money for research, a lot of money for research.
But if we look back to the maybe agri-food or monitoring, so maybe I'm talking again to Michela or to Simone or to Ruben, do you think that at the moment there are some bottlenecks for assessing the, I'm talking about research side, so I mean there is this huge question that industry is not discussing, is not communicating with academics, with research centers, so that's why you as end users are always disillusioned and frustrated with your requests from the point of view of, is this the case or just more complicated as been said?
No, I think that it is not the case. We think that we have a lot of offers, a lot of calls, but the industry is not, in my experience, my company in particular, not able to looking for and is not able to find the solution inside. So we need help from institutes, from university. I think that people inside this institute can help industry to have the link from public and private needs, and I think that is very necessary that this competence remains in the institutes, because I think that are also the drivers for our national development. I mean, if all this competence is inside an industry or only private, is not, I think it's a social responsibility to develop some tools, not only for industry, but I think that is a plus if the knowledge is managed by the
institution.
by the institution, yes. And
Okay.
I think that is not a lack of responsibility if I say to Stefano, okay, go on the project and I'm with you, but it's because you are able and to find also the good link with the different partners and something that the industry can't do. We have to produce. So we don't have time and also ability to find out the solutions.
But your company, we've been together since a long time, but I understood that you also started to look more, you are really involved also in a lot of projects as a European, you're trying to, so you're quite open.
We try, but the time is to spend also in the bureaucracy and also to find inside all these documents and is not the skills, the specific skills of the industry.
Sure. So, but just to let also Simone provide your comments on that, because this morning you also reported a lot about what is needed and what is possible. Is monitoring a little bit more open than medical? Because this was the other, all say that we always say that we don't go to medical or go to food because it's easier. Nobody's they're not so rigid, and so even our own tools that are not so is not so regulated are still can be applied. But this morning it seemed that it was not the case.
Okay.
No, it's open.
Yes. Now, I think that also in food, for food, agri-food application, we have some bottleneck about the application of this system, and we have differences depending on the level we want to apply this solution. As I discussed this morning, if it is at private level or if it is a competent authority level. But I think that this solution can be overcome if we demonstrate that system work. No? If we can demonstrate to everyone want to assess this new solution, that this work and this work in an equivalent way as the current system, the bottleneck maybe is less an obstacle and we can go over it. But also in the agri-food sector, I think we experience this conservative approach, because to allow new solutions, someone had to take the responsibility to allow it and to change the current system that works. Okay, and this responsibility sometimes is not taken. I see in particular this at local level. No, for example, when local health authority need to also make a small decision about new things and so on, it's very in struggle, because it need to take the responsibility over this decision and over the change of a system that show in the years that, yes. Yeah,
you said that, I was thinking about that, it's true, but then, something happens, you think about COVID, there was something that was needed, no technology ready, and they say, we have this in our hands, do you believe or not? You have to use it, so let's make this screening. It's the huge screening done for a device, because we are using their own technology. And so just say, life happens, and then you have to somehow handle it. So it's not predictable as far as I understand. So you say, you have an ongoing world that is very rigid, and then something very complicated happens, and then you have to find out a way.
But yes, this is a good example, but I think we need to move now from the finding solution in emergency to finding solution in a normal situation where this solution could benefit both the producer but also the consumer, I think.
You want to say something?
So I hope it's already open for questions. Andreas Moschhauser, Fraunhofer. I would just like to come back to the question before, because you said that you don't see the need to communicate better what your need is. Because coming from Fraunhofer, we are largest applied research institution in Germany, and we still have the problem that most of the time we do not really know what industry needs. So they do not tell us their problems. So, and especially for the PhD students here, I think it's very complicated to find this special need, because, I mean, for us, we have long-term relationships with industry, and then time after time, they maybe tell us what might be interesting for them. But if you try to approach a company at a trade fair and ask, okay, what's your problem? They do not have problems. They will not communicate. So what's the mechanism that the PhD students here can use to find these interesting topics that are relevant for you?
I don't know if Ruben, you want to say something about that, or I can.
How do we get the issues addressed, basically, that require solutions, right? Is that sort of a translation of the question? Because I didn't really hear it properly.
Yeah, it's like that.
Yeah, it's also a bit looking over borders. Maybe if you go to diagnostics companies who have their systems in place, they might say so. I would be willing to share some ideas where I think improvement is still possible. So, which is basically one step further than the technology providers. So basically, maybe go to the end users of technology to see where the needs are, rather than the established companies who are maybe a bit more conservative in that way.
So you say it's a question: who is your the person you talk to, the company you talk to, really, rather than so very large and rigid and established ones that are not so sensitive to change their own business. So you need to go to someone that instead needs to make money and they want to have new solutions for incoming projects. But I think also this is the main issue for the reason why in European projects typically you need to have all of them inside. Now that also the fact that you have to have these end users there and you have to ask them what they want, typically is something that in all the Europe is really pushing on that, what is called co-creation, the fact that you have every time to, before doing something, you have to request the permission for doing from the end user, because otherwise the risk for going completely in the wrong direction is too high. Yeah, I think it's a little bit awful that we know that somebody's still looking for something new, because otherwise people like me and you, Andreas, or Valerio, we are not doing anything from them. We stay back in our labs and that's it, because it seems that sometimes this dichotomy is very, I mean, the walls are pretty high. I don't know if, which is your experience, I mean, Professor, because you also have I don't know, you have a startup or you work?
Two levels. One, I would like to say to the PhD student and postdoc, don't worry. What they are looking for is your ability to solve problems, not your technology. So that is not a major issue. The major issue, if you want to do something where the industry is really related. The solution, the only solution I found, and we found, many of us, is make a PhD project together with a given company, which at that point is interested in telling you at least one problem to develop. Of course, this is getting small. Nobody will give you a big problem to solve. They give you their own problem. But that works. Of course, you have to make some intellectual properties issues, you have to sign, whatever. But this, at least in our system, is done, and it works. But the scouting is, sometimes I found that companies like the scouting. In other words, internally they have no time to develop, let's say, or to look and see many options. So they deal out, say, can you test for us 5 sensors and tell me which is the most promising one? Then they might then take the promising one inside and do it. Not all of them, but many works in this way, from my experience.
And so I don't know, Valeria, from Sweden, is a little bit different, the value chain, or because sometimes also people are coming also mainly from Italy here now. Sometimes there is this old West story that it's more something, an Italian business, than instead outside, they are pretty open to innovation, companies are there, they are joined together. Your Steel Institute is something in between, no?
Yeah, well, as I said, I mean, I look more into the electronic field, and the electronic field is relatively small, and we struggle to get funding actually from companies, because Sweden is a small country with a relatively small market. If we talk, we move to Germany, to our colleagues in Fraunhofer, probably the market is, and how lively is the market in there, it's completely different. There are collaboration with industry. There is a lot of industrial projects actually sponsored by the states. I was talking about, slightly off topic, but I was talking about this way of research, so where industrial needs are very much upfront, or actually private foundation putting a lot of money into research. And with the attaché of scientific attaché of Italian embassy in Sweden, and he was a bit disappointed from this approach. And I explain you why. We go back to what he said before. You as a student, or you as a young researcher, it's your ability to solve problems, your ability to learn, it's what is important. If it's a very focused and industrial issues will not give you the freedom to learn, to explore new ideas, to explore your potentiality, what you actually can do. And so that's one of the things I like as an Italian. I left 23 years ago, but wherever I went, I have been always welcome, because we have very solid research base, knowledge, research attitude, very strong. Don't miss this opportunity. It's what is going to be your wild card to become successful and to become strong in your life. Just to comment to the previous affirmation when you say, the COVID example. I think we are trying to do a journey, but we are starting from a completely different perspective. What I'm saying, we are talking about agri-food and needs of industry. So there is something that is established, and you want to go there. So you want to develop something that could at least comparable with. COVID, there was nothing. I think you got 50% success rate on a positive or false positive, whatever. But you have nothing. So whatever you bring was more than welcome. It's much more difficult when you have to challenge something that is very established. €1 detection of antibiotics in a, conform to the norms, so legally accepted, it's something very hard to challenge.
No, clear. No,
okay.
Yeah,
so
that's true. Yeah, it's two completely different. But also, I think also in agri-food or environmental monitoring and coming up also with sustainability. I mean, there are open questions that are coming. Something that you don't know also in agri-food. Now I'm thinking about the issue with the pigs and then the new disease that are coming out. Something that you don't know, and for sure they are coming out because every 9 months happens something, some alert in some part of the world where is coming out something from the animal to the human, and so you don't know. I don't say that we have to wait for emergencies, because evidently it's not the case. Yes. But it's also the world that is not so well established. It seems to be.
The examples of COVID or new disease is an example in aflatoxin, because in 2003 we suffered a lot for a peak in aflatoxin in milk, and from there many rapid tests were implemented, and now we are using that experience, and every tank of milk is analyzed with this rapid test, very quick and simple, and also low cost, and for me is something that prevents a lot our safety, help us, and so 20 years later we are using, are more or less more than 10 years that we are using this, and also the robustness and also the efficiency of these tests is increasing, and so we are happy.
Yeah, sure.
But something happened in the past.
Yeah, sure. I was also, then please comment from Mario.
I would like to connect with the COVID-19 example to, understand your point of view, because we are still talking about ideas or advances in technological advances that are industrial driven. So we have a problem, we need to solve it, so we ask researchers to solve that problem. So I would like to ask Professor Dal Canale and Michela Monici, what is the best trade-off between, tackle issues of industries and carrying out, for example, groundbreaking research? So, for example, what is the best trade-off between excellent science or like h-ALO projects? Because, in the last few years, we have been dealing with an European Commission asking for h-ALO products and project proposal. But on the other end, I think that COVID-19 is a good example that we need to carry out also excellent science and new fundamental concept and ideas. So what is the position of a big company in terms of completely new ideas and projects, and what is the position of a professor, your point of view?
Well, this is the conundrum, because basic science is fantastic, but you never know what it will be useful for. And most of the time, it will be useful for something which is not the one you were thinking of. That's the rule. Now, I can tell you my personal solution. The personal solution is, when you have an applied project from a company or even have a high TRL from the European community, you go for, not I would say applying, but adjusting or implementing what is already basically studied. On the other side, either you use the overheads or you get a good grant for basic science, and then you explore the other part. With the students, what I use, I give to PhD always two projects. And they like to have one of this type and one of the other. So to explore widely on something which they even don't know if it will be an application or if the application is there, but we'll see. To another where the application is very close and they can grasp results industrially quickly. But this is a personal solution. So I've never seen anyone having a solution for it. It's a real conundrum. That's the point, because basic science, you don't know where it goes. It will be useful. I'll give you an old example. Liquid crystal were for almost 80 years useless, right? Flussenkristallen, right? Discovered by a botanist. Until in the 60s, someone came up and made a display. Then was a boom. Now they are going down because OLEDs are coming, but you see, took over 80 years for getting a real, because all of us, we have LCD displays, right, around, so.
So it seems to be in basic research is an error.
Yeah, you do for curiosity, and then what came out.
It's an error of the system.
Right, yeah, well, no, it's a great training field, but it's impossible, in my opinion, to predict where it goes. And this is very hard to tell to the people with deals out money, particularly at the European level. They would like to have everything organized,
Yeah,
This is the way of thinking of a big company. So is there like basic science in a big company, or just the big company is driven by business?
The big company Normally, what also the other guys was saying, what we are looking for something that normally is something that we have to use today because we have a crisis, we have a problem, and so we have to solve. But we have to study. We have to maintain this link with basic research. I think that is our strength. And normally, yes, I have a problem because now I am aflatoxins, or tomorrow I will have a little molecule new in my packaging, and so I have to solve an allergen. But I think that we love work with university and with in research institute in order to maintain this general studies, not so
focused.
See, yeah.
Yeah. So you say that in any case, it's evident that you're not using that. You're not spend, but you have at least there is some kind of companies that they would like to start going on. So maybe a little budget that can be spent, or they are ready to be present in European projects. So they are more collaborative, even though they know they are not changing anything from their business, because it's evident that. So it's the fact that still they are capable to keep them on board. It's a good. It's a good
to balance day by day and.
So you have to make money, so it's
yes.
evident.
My business continuity is the main topic.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. There are other questions from the audience. From just don't want to, monopolize the discussion. From any curiosity for the people here, also to Ruben that is online. Or if you don't know Ruben, you have something more to comment on that.
Maybe a little sidestep, because previously I mentioned some challenges. Maybe it's also good to address some opportunities on the other end. We've talked about antibiotics, which is a really well-established market. But what we do in antibiotics testing is applying a screening test. And if we find a suspect sample with a screening test, we apply a confirmation test. And the confirmation is an expensive test, but due to the high food safety level, we have to do quite little of those. This can be an approach that can be more widely explored. So for many other contaminants, we do just the confirmation test, basically, without because there is no option to do a screening test. I think that's a field that's very interesting to further explore.
Yeah, sure. This is something also that we've been also experiencing in the project that we are dealing with. Normally, you don't want to make golden standard, but at least screening and or confirmation is the place where you can work and you can help, because then, as I think Simone said before, also for the industrial company, the food processing company, understanding if a process inside a company is needed or not. So having something that can tell you, even though yes or no, or screening at that point is important. So you are reducing your waste. You are reducing the money that you spend. In this case, as a sort of you gain money by spending less. So it depends also how you can see the problem. Sometimes it's not that you have to have a breakthrough, but to, again, as we said before, understanding exactly what is needed. So it's a sort of optimization. So it's not rather than a breakthrough. So at least it seems to be from our audience that there is room. Let's say that it can be complicated, but other opportunities. So it's not said that is the breakthrough, but it's something that also, it's a more systematic and more focused work that can be done directly for a specific problem. But it's very valuable also, that one, especially in terms of money and resources. So I Again, Andreas.
If I can comment just before you on this one, the opportunity, and I believe that opportunities and challenge, they have two different timelines. Opportunity, they have the space for the fundamental research, because it's, as I said, complementing what is existing is not a stringent need for tomorrow. The crisis of the aflatoxin was, I say tomorrow. The aflatoxin was the example that you got the strong need for identifying, and then solution came. COVID-19 is exactly the same. As a student and as a person with a business focus, you identify an opportunity and then you pursue this one. And then you work in one. And then if you believe in it, you bring at a level of maturity where your fundamental research or your low TRL activities will be matured together with the business and together with understanding of what's going of the needs of the industry.
Clear. No, it's true. It's true.
Maybe a question to Simone. Regarding, let's say, chances that sometimes also arise from legislation. So just have two examples from Germany where, let's say, we had the chance where there potentially was, or spontaneously was, the need for testing. So, for example, in mastitis testing for cows, there was, let's say, there's currently going on the change that legislation says, okay, you cannot administer antibiotics before you do a test. And so potentially there's a market to do this testing. Or with cannabis legalization, spontaneously you have to do really quantitative testing of THC because you need to have certain levels for driving and so on. Do you see also such, let's say, changes in legislation in the food industry where potential new tests might be necessary?
But I think this is an interesting point, because more and more now we want to, for example, in the case of mastitis, to target treatment. Now we come from an era in which treatment were made in a uncontrolled way as a preventive solution. Now we want to have proof of the need of treatment, maybe also to need which kind of bacteria we're fighting with, and if it is antibiotic resistant or not. No? So we have a lot of information to get to make maybe treatment also and to fine-tune the treatment. So this could be a good point, yes, for developing new sensor, because more information we have on our hazard, the more we can treat it and fine-tune the treatment. In this direction, for example, also in the risk assessment, as I explained that is the center of our system. Now we are going to omics, the so-called omics risk assessment. So we don't need to know only that we have to target salmonella, for example, but also if this salmonella is resistant to this antibiotic or to this treatment is more. And so to have more information, more fine information to make the system more precise. This could be a good point, yes.
Other question from the audience, from online. I don't know if there is anything more. Otherwise, I go to closing remarks on the very fruitful discussion that we had. It was unexpectedly fruitful, so I thank the speakers, because they are very. Also, I really thank also speaker online, so I thank also Ruben from Netherlands, that he spent his time with us and also providing us this kind of very peculiar also point of view. So thank you again for being there. I don't know if you want to say something.
Yes, thank you very much for this opportunity, and wish you a good remainder of this day and of the meeting that you have in Bologna, where it's probably way nicer weather than in the Netherlands. So it's a pity I couldn't be there today.
I don't know. Today
but, thank you for the opportunity to join online.
Thank you very much. Thank you again, Ruben. Thank you. I thank again all the speakers today. So Michela Monici, and then I thank also Valerio Beni, and then Professor Enrico Dal Canale, and finally also Simone Bellucco. Thank you again for your time. It was a really, really fruitful discussion. I hope also the guys here was fruitful for them. Thank you.
So 3:30 outside, and then we will